Welcome back, everyone. This will be my new Marvel Thor Love and Thunder video about how Marvel is going to explain Thor's hammer in the movie. There's been a lot of new teasers that have been dropping. There's been a lot of questions because Thor is still wielding Stormbreaker and he's still worthy in the movie, but they also have a version of his original hammer. Even though the movie's going to be way crazier than you expect than Thor Ragnarok was, they're going to have a lot of deep cuts from the mythology. I'll also explain what's going on with the trailer because everyone wants to know what's going on with the Thor Love and Thunder trailer. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos because that trailer is coming soon and we will do as much zooming and enhancing as you could possibly do. Real quick shout out to my friends at Raid Shadow Legends who asked to sponsor this video. Raid Shadow Legends is one of the biggest mobile games in the world right now that's totally free to play. That's right, it's free. They wanted me to tell you about their epic champions they have this month, like Ursula, the Mourner of the Banner Lords, and the Royal Guard of the High Elves. Ursula can revive your whole team and makes them tough as bricks, buffing their strength and defense, and her aura gives you plus 24 speed in the Doom Tower. Royal Guard is mostly a PvE player, which is what I spend most of my time doing, story-based play, PvE play. Some of his really useful abilities are attacks that scale damage against your enemy's max HP. He also decreases enemy defense, and he's got a random proc ability that can reduce their number of turns potentially. And that's just a fraction of stuff that they're introducing this month because this month is Raid's 3-year anniversary and the celebrations are going to be huge. Raid's introducing its first ever champion skins. Skins let you alter a champion's appearance to something that suits your style, your preference. My favorite new skins so far are the ones for the Arbiter. This is the best time to get started in Raid, and if you use my link in the description below or scan the QR code right here that I'll put on screen in the video, new players will get a free starter pack worth almost $40 to kickstart your game. We're talking free champions, Misericord, Tiger Soul, Romero, 10 Magic XP Brew, 10 Force XP Brew, and 10 Spirit XP Brew. All that free stuff they give you can find in your inbox in the upper right-hand corner right here. So be sure to check it out. So Marvel was pretty clear that they were adapting both the Mighty Thor and the Gorr the God Butcher storylines for Thor Love and Thunder. Most of you have read versions of those comic stories or you've seen my previous videos on the movie. Christian Bale was probably one of the biggest surprises. He's playing their Gorr the God Butcher. He's gonna wreck in this movie, and he goes on a mission to kill all the legit gods of the MCU. We're getting the tutorial on how legit gods in the MCU work during the Moon Knight episodes right now. I've been doing videos for all those episodes, so I'll link them in the description below, but I've also started to explain the difference between just really powerful cosmic beings and legit gods, because technically the MCU gods are really powerful cosmic beings, but just because you're a cosmic being doesn't mean that you're automatically a god. Best example of that is the Celestials. The Celestials are probably one of the most powerful cosmic beings that we've ever seen in the MCU, but they themselves are not gods. And even though Thor is getting brand new armor, he's got his helmet on from the comics, this is what his new costume looks like. It looks like they're almost trying to take into a full-on version of Rune King Thor from the comics, which would be awesome. He still won't be quite as powerful as the Celestials. So just because you're a legit MCU god doesn't automatically make you as powerful as the most powerful cosmic beings. So Thor Love and Thunder is like the crash course in MCU gods. We're going to see a bunch of the different gods from different cultures around the universe as Gorr goes on his mission. My early theory also, before he winds up going face to face with real Thor, is that he's going to wind up killing fake Thor, fake Loki, and maybe even fake Hela too, because they are doing another one of those funny fake plays in the movie. This time it's parodying the events of Thor Ragnarok. Matt Damon is in the movie playing an Asgardian who plays a version of Loki. This Thor is actually Chris Hemsworth's real brother, Luke Hemsworth. Most of you will recognize him from Westworld. And legit, their new fake Hela is actually going to be played by Melissa McCarthy, which is another big surprise. So I think they're performing the play, and then eventually Gorr the God Butcher will show up. Thor is not there, and he'll wind up killing all the fake versions because he's currently off with the Guardians of the Galaxy in space, getting super swole with Star-Lord's Bowflex. Because the events of the movie are taking place after Spider-Man No Way Home, there was an Easter egg for it during Spider-Man No Way Home. They said that there was political strife happening in New Asgard. That was just a reference to people being upset with all the changes that Valkyrie was making as the new king. We've seen the Loki series with the version of Kang, all the timelines going crazy, the Kang Multiverse War, and we'll have already seen the events of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness when this comes out. Multiverse is like the operative trope in Marvel Phase 4. Other universes, other dimensions, with a bunch of variants of all the big characters we've seen before. Thank you very much for coming back, Patrick Stewart, and bringing those Fox X-Men variants with you. Maybe some Fox Fantastic Four characters too. So early on when people learned about the movie, because all this multiverse stuff is happening now, people thought the multiverse would be the reason that they explained this alternate version of Jane Foster Thor and this version of Thor's hammer. But that is not the case. It's actually way, way simpler than that. There might actually be some multiverse stuff going on during the movie. There might still be some variants somewhere in there. Still holding out hope for a real version of Loki showing up at some point from the multiverse, even though Tom Hiddleston said that he was not supposed to be in the movie. But the way they're explaining Thor's hammer during the movie is that Odin's original enchantment is going to still be more powerful than Hela just physically smashing the original hammer to pieces. And the reason why it's MCU Jane Foster, like the one we've been seeing this whole time, who becomes a version of Thor in the movie, is about halfway the same as it was in the comics. It's not exactly the same, but it's close. Originally, what happened in the comics is that Thor became unworthy because that version of Nick Fury whispered in his ear saying Gorr was right. And Gorr the God Butcher's whole ethos during that storyline is that he was killing all the MCU gods because he felt like the gods didn't care about their subjects anymore, and technically he was not wrong. Now, some of the gods did care about their subjects, but most of the gods are incredibly selfish, so technically Gorr was not wrong. So it's one of those situations where Thor kind of believes himself to be unworthy, therefore he becomes unworthy and doesn't qualify for Odin's enchantment anymore. And originally the whole idea is that Asgard needed its protector, a champion, so the hammer just found the next most likely candidate. Now in the MCU, remember, our version of MCU Thor is still worthy, he still has Stormbreaker, so they had to come up with a completely different reason why Jane Foster becomes a version of Thor and wields a version of Mjolnir. So it seems like what they're explaining is that when Gorr the God Butcher attacks New Asgard for the first time, our MCU Thor isn't around because he's off with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and Asgard still needs its champion, its protector, and for some reason Valkyrie doesn't qualify for that. Our MCU Jane Foster is just in close proximity to the pieces of the original Mjolnir. And what they've done since the events of Thor Ragnarok is the Asgardians created this shrine around the area where Odin died on the cliff face, and you can see right behind it where Hela broke Mjolnir, they basically just put the pieces of it on this shrine here too. And it sounds like Jane Foster just touches it, and that's enough to activate Odin's original enchantment. And the enchantment read, "Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor." And it sounds like her touching it, activating the hammer, is enough to reform the hammer and give her her armor. So even though Thor is a legit god in the MCU and he's got his powers from Odin biologically, Odin's enchantment is sort of like a magic copy-paste workaround that gives some of those powers to Jane Foster Thor. And eventually what seems like happens, the real Thor winds up showing up and seeing what happens and sees this other version of female Thor, not completely understanding who it is right away, but I think because on stage they revealed exactly what they were doing, like, oh, we're gonna make Jane Foster this female version of Thor. I think that our MCU Thor will find out pretty quickly in the movie who it is. Like I said, the Moon Knight series that I'm doing videos for right now is sort of giving us the tutorial in how legit gods in the MCU work and how they're different from cosmic beings. Khonshu and Amit are just from one pantheon of gods. Thor, Odin, and Hela are from the other Asgardian pantheon of gods. There are many, many other pantheons from each different culture in the universe, so Gorr the God Butcher is going to wind up killing a bunch of MCU gods. Supposedly Boss, the Panther goddess, where the Panther tribe, Black Panther, gets all of his powers from, will appear in the movie. They might also wind up using that for a twist during Black Panther 2. Because if something bad were to happen to Boss, the Panther goddess, theoretically, Black Panther would lose all of his crazy powers. Now in the comics, it is possible for Black Panther to forge an alliance with another MCU god and get the same type of powers, but it winds up being a completely different god. The different tribes of Wakanda all worship different gods. The Panther tribe is just the current ruling tribe right now. Really good example of that is M'Baku. He's from the Ape tribe. They worship the ape god. But for those of you asking where the Thor Love and Thunder trailer has been, why haven't they released it yet, it's basically because they want to give you the tutorial on MCU gods during the Moon Knight series before they give you the crash course during Thor Love and Thunder. Also, we have not gotten Doctor Strange 2 yet. We've seen a couple of those trailers, but the movie hasn't come out yet. They've been waiting till they get closer to that movie actually coming out to release the Thor trailer. So if we'd originally saw Doctor Strange in March like they had planned on, we would have already seen the Thor trailer by now. It'll be fun to see how Thor tries to top all the crazy X-Men multiverse cameos in Doctor Strange 2. Like, which Marvel movie this year is going to be the biggest one?
Mild shock.
My bet is on Doctor Strange 2, but let me know in the comments, which Marvel movie do you think will earn the most money this year? I will post a full Thor Love and Thunder trailer video as soon as they release it, probably later this month. Everyone click here for my Moon Knight Episode 3 trailer video, and click here for my full Moon Knight Episode 2 video in Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.